One of the best things that you can do to market yourself and those luxury listings that we all want. I got my buddy Jason Gruner with us today. We're going to talk about the process that he's using that is killing it right now. All right, I'm excited for our conversation today. I got my buddy Jason Gruner with me. Jason, listen, one of the things that's been real impressive, and we kind of do this every year when you're down here to spend a little time, but one of the things that's really been interesting is as we've talked about your concept and the way that you're generating listings by naming some of the process. This was such a, when we really sat down in the detail with the way that you do this is so amazing. But before we get started, if you don't mind, just tell everybody a little about you, how long you've been in the business, that kind of thing.
Absolutely. I'm an agent in Nashville, Tennessee with Coldwell Banker. I've been in the business since 2004. My family moved to Nashville 5 years ago, and I've actively jumped in about 8 months ago, diving back into it. Yeah. So it was great. A year ago, we were down here. I reached out to you and just said, I've got some questions. I'm trying to figure out what kind of business I want to build for myself in Nashville. And you gave me some unbelievable advice. Of course, it took me 4 months to implement that because, I'm chasing shiny objects. But since I've started and really had a specific focus on being a single listing agent for luxury homes in Nashville and putting a plan in place, that was just such good advice and gave me the guidance on a path forward. So that's what I do. I specifically focus on coming up with a way to market luxury homes in Nashville, and I've just built out a very detailed process and system that I use for that.
So let's talk about that because it's one thing to have a process, but it's the communication and the distribution 100%. Of those things. Let's talk about when you're sitting down with the seller. And we're gonna do a whole other series on kind of what you're doing to get those sit downs. But sure. You've got the listing appointment. You come in with the seller. What does that conversation look like?
Yep. The one thing I found early on after meeting with a couple luxury homeowners was everybody thinks their home is unique. Mm-hmm. Because it is. Every piece of real estate in the country is unique. I don't care if it's two houses right next to each other. They have different views. They have different backyards. But certainly from a luxury standpoint, over $1 million in Nashville, everybody's home has a specific story to tell.
Right.
So my big thing and what I've positioned myself as, I'm going to be the agent that tells the story of your home to those buyers.
Right.
And the way I do that is through long-form agent on-camera video. Mm-hmm. I'm going to film a 10 to 15-minute walkthrough of your home. So I need to know, like the square footage and the bedrooms and the acreage, that's all important. But what I'm more interested in is I want you guys to tell me the story of how you lived in this home. Mm-hmm. Where'd you drink your coffee? Where do you do holidays with the family? Why'd you do the kitchen this way? Because everybody has those stories. And the typical person, I'm in their home, they've lived there for 20 years.
Right.
It's where they raised their family. So they have hundreds of stories. And I just want to kind of extract the 10 to 15 really emotional high point stories of that home.
Yeah.
So I can tell those stories to the buyers.
Right.
Because buyers, they're going to buy a new home because they envision a life that's currently better than where they are now. Mm-hmm. So if I can tell the story of this is why the sellers loved this home, this is why they designed it this way, these were the memories they made in it, and I can tell those stories to those future buyers through video at scale to tens of thousands of buyers at a time, which is kind of crazy to think about. That's when I first sit down with the seller. That's what I want to find out about the home.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, the sellers want someone who's going to listen to what made their home unique because they want that story to be told. And in their mind, they know 30 beautiful pictures and 3 paragraphs of copy on Zillow isn't going to cut it in 2022.
That's exactly right. Now listen, I love the fact that you did the longer form video. We're going to get to the shorter form in just a second. Let's talk about that. So This is a 10 to 15 minute walkthrough.
Yep.
What's the framework for that? It starts in the front of the house.
Sure.
You start telling the stories as you're going through the rooms. What does that look like?
Yep. So the biggest thing that we found in video is you have to have a good hook in the first 5 seconds. Mm-hmm. I've seen so many real estate videos where it's a 30-second drone shot or a Lexus driving up the driveway, and I'm in real estate, and I click away from those.
Right.
Or I'm going to fast forward to the good stuff where I want to see it. So the first 5 seconds, you need a great hook. Welcome to this home in Nashville. You're not going to believe it. This looks like an Aspen luxury home, but it's in Nashville, Tennessee. And so that's your hook. So it's like, oh, what's this? Yeah. So that captures their attention. You've probably bought yourself another 10 seconds. Okay. So then you need something that's going to tie them down. So you need The basement in this home is an unbelievable value add opportunity. Stick around till we see that part of it. Or there's a room in this house that is custom designed. It's like nothing else you've never seen. We're going to get to that at the end of the video. Just give them some sort of thing to stay engaged with it. So you have that hook, and then you have that secondary hook where you're going to engage them to stay involved, just so you can get them to watch. It's crazy to me because everybody's like, it's all short form. No one watches long form videos. The last couple ones I've done, the average watch time has been over 6 minutes.
Yeah.
Which when you think about people watching a video for 6 minutes, like you rarely ever do it unless it's engaging. And so we do that. I always do that kind of on the front porch, and then we kind of pan up for a big drone shot or have some B-roll mixed in. And then it's just walking through the home. And I just really approach it as, what would I do if I was showing this house to a friend of mine? Like, I'm going to point out why this is an amazing house. And then I'm going to tell the stories of that house. They made the dining room big because they have a huge family and they really wanted to fit a dining room table in here that sat 12 people. Or just some specific ones that I remember. It's like, they really wanted, when they custom built this home, they had a fireplace. And when he was growing, he told me this story. When he was growing up, they always had a 5-foot Christmas tree as a kid. And he just really wanted Christmas to be special. So he always wanted a 12-foot Christmas tree. So he made sure when they custom designed this, they could fit a 12-foot Christmas tree next to the fireplace. So they have 20 years of family photos of their family sitting in front of this huge 12-foot Christmas tree. And so when you tell a story like that, like, everybody remembers it. So it's just that little thing. And that's not going to appeal to everybody. There's a bunch of people who are like, we're not putting a Christmas tree, we don't care. But then you talk about the chef's kitchen they designed, or the memorabilia room they built, or the screened-in porch. And you tell those stories over and over again. And again, I just think the power of a story. People remember stories. I've read this on the internet, so it's got to be true.
Right.
A story is 22 times more memorable than a fact.
Absolutely.
So in a long-form video, you get the opportunity to tell those stories. No one buys a house because it's 5,625 square feet. They buy a house because it's big enough for what they need. And they're going to remember the agent telling these stories of this amazing home. And that's going to be the thing that takes that first step towards them falling in love. Because you got to hit that emotional side of it. It's hard to do with just pictures and copy.
Yeah. Jason, this is such good stuff. One of the things that happens sometimes is people are like, okay, I shoot the video. Now what do I do? So let's talk about the distribution. Let's talk about what you're doing and some of those results, if you don't mind also.
Absolutely. So we take the long form video, we put it on Facebook, we put it on YouTube, and then we'll put it on LinkedIn. We spend the majority of the budget on YouTube because it's so easy to go in and target active home buyers who are searching for whatever that home is. You can go on the back end of the Google Ads platform, which Google owns YouTube, so that's all tied in there. And you can say, show this video to anyone who's ever searched Nashville luxury homes, Brentwood equestrian property, Middle Tennessee lakefront property, or 30A beach houses, whatever it is that corresponds with what you're doing, and it will show that ad. And they get viewed tens of thousands of times. Now you pay for all that.
Right.
And organic stuff is great, but I would much rather have 1,000 people who had previously searched Nashville luxury homes than just 1,000 random viewers.
Right.
And you can do this for 10 cents.
Yeah.
For someone to watch your video for 6 minutes on average. And 6 minutes on average is really one person for 30 seconds and one person watching it all the way to the end.
Right. Yeah.
So it's just the YouTube platform is hands down the most effective to put it in front of targeted home buyers.
Yeah, it's so good. Let's talk a little bit about Facebook. Are you doing these organically up? Are you trying to link it towards there? How are you doing YouTube, LinkedIn, or Facebook and LinkedIn also?
Sure. So on Facebook and LinkedIn, you can't really go on Facebook and say, show this to people who are currently looking. But what you can do is you can show it to a radius, and it's been reduced or expanded where it has to be a 15-mile radius. And you can show it to people who've recently been on Realtor.com, Zillow.com, or Trulia.com. So it's a pretty targeted group, and the views are so cheap. Yeah. You can get 30 to 50,000 views, a couple $1,000 on the Facebook platform. So it's an absolute no-brainer in terms of just putting it out there, because the real goal is you want these home buyers to see it. They're on YouTube. They're an active home buyer. They see it, maybe they click on it, and we build a little landing page where it's got it and some details. So you track them there. And then you follow them around with Google display ads.
Right.
Amazing Nashville home.
Right.
And then it follows them around there. And then they're on Facebook and they see it. Then they're on Instagram and they see it. Then they're on LinkedIn. They're like, this home is everywhere.
Right.
If they're an active home buyer, you want that omnipresent marketing approach just so they see it everywhere.
Right. Same thing with LinkedIn. Are you promoting those as well?
We haven't tested a whole lot with that.
Yeah,
We post it on there. Just it's very expensive,
right.
just comparatively. So if I can buy a long form video view for 10 cents on LinkedIn, just from the testing we've done, it's much different in terms of the cost per view that we're seeing on there.
Right.
It's on the list of things to test, but we put it on there and they get hundreds of views on there,
Yeah.
just organically. So.
That's good. Let's talk a little bit about some of the specific results. Let's
Sure.
say you do a couple $100 ad spend, just for an average person that
Sure.
might do that. What are you looking at, and what is that?
Yeah, I think you're at 5 cents to 10 cents per view.
Okay.
So for $300 to $500, I mean, you're at 3,000 to 5,000 targeted views of active home buyers who have recently searched for exactly what your home is.
Right.
It's the biggest no-brainer investment in the world. My price point's a little bit higher, so I'm doing omni-channel, I'm doing it everywhere. My budget's usually 10 times that just for the long form on YouTube. So we just did one that'll go well over 100,000 views. And again, for a luxury property like that, I just think that the sellers expect stuff like that. And even if they don't expect it today, 2 years from now, everyone's going to be doing this. Right. So the agents who aren't doing it today and the agents who are just going to be 5 steps ahead of everybody else.
Hey, I love the fact, we talked about this in the last couple of years about where you take a percentage of every listing that you reinvest in the marketing.
Yep.
And talk about how you specifically do that and then what you say to sellers to make sure they understand that.
My sales pitch is, because I'm typically competing with an agent who's been in Nashville for 20 to 30 years. Mm-hmm. They play tennis with most of the homeowners. So I know I'm up against a traditional agent who's established and has a huge name. Mm-hmm. So I have to position myself a little bit differently. The one thing I do is I have a specific method. I've written out a 20-page guide. Here's exactly what we do, which is a great start. I've named that method the Tell Your Story method, so it sets me apart. The other thing I do is I take 1% of the list price and I spend that on marketing to sell the home.
That's great.
So on a $2 million house, I'm taking $20,000 and I'm going to do that. And I'm going to spread it omni-channel. I'm going to do YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, and then I'm going to do a ton of postcard campaigns. Because just physical mail is still such an effective way. Certainly, and kind of my spin on that is we take a 10 to 14 day window before it hits the market live, any showings. It gives us the time to get all the photos back in video and start running campaigns. And then we can put out a postcard to the 3,000 to 5,000 people nearby, and we let them in on a secret. Hey, your neighbor's about to sell their home, if you know of anybody looking. Because if you do that after it goes live, it's like, yeah, we all saw that one. But if you give the neighbors, the people who live in that area, they all have friends that they want to live near them. They know we're looking for homes. And if they get this postcard of like upcoming listing, they're like, have you seen this one yet? Mm-hmm. They're getting to share that secret with their friends. So you're giving them an item of value they can share with their friends. And when we do the postcard thing, I mean, it's just a snowball. Because again, they see the postcard, they see a Facebook ad, they see a LinkedIn ad, they see a Instagram ad, they see a YouTube video, they see it all. And it's just that omni-channel where you're that house is in front of the target demographic over and over and over again for that 2-week period.
Yeah, Jason, this is what's so good too is people view that and they say, oh, you're spending 1% of the sale of that house or that commission on that house. What most people don't realize is you're not just investing in that house. This is branding you in
100%.
That area. So, when you're talking about doing the videos where you're doing the area around it, now you've become, and these people are seeing you everywhere and constantly just branding yourself that way. Can you talk about a few of the things that maybe you've seen now? How long have you been doing this, and what are some of the results?
Sure. So I've probably done this and I've tweaked it because it's like you always have to be adjusting it because the world changes. And a great example of that is short form video has become extremely cost effective for distribution. I've done it on 6 listings. Again, we've been in a hot market, so everything sells, but we are selling well above list, well above appraisal on a lot of these. And the way we do it, we take a 10 to 14 day period and we channel all that demand into the first weekend. Mm-hmm. Because like we talked a little bit beforehand, that first weekend is the one opportunity you have as a seller where you have leverage.
Right.
Because after that first weekend, you're going to be dealing one-on-one.
Right.
You're not going to be in multiple, most likely not going to be in multiple offer. Mm-hmm. And so having a system to capitalize on that gets us in a situation. There's no more powerful thing when I'm the listing agent, and I actually go to the showings, which I know a lot of agents don't. But because I can position it for one weekend and it's a higher end home, I'm happy to go do and hold all those showings, and I get to coordinate it. So when I go to a showing, the people walk in. It's so funny because the first thing they always say, they're like, you're the guy from the video.
Right, yeah.
So it's that instant recognition. There's instant trust there. So we break down barriers. Step one, I'm like, come on in. I've got a full map of the property. We can point out property corners. I'll answer any questions for you. And then the doorbell rings because, this is my 8:15. They're like, wait, do you have how many showings do you have today? It's like, well, and then you pull out, I've got 19.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, okay. Because I've done 2 weeks worth of marketing. I've funneled everything into that first day. And then you've created all this emotional leverage with the videos and the stories. Then they're there. They trust you. You've walked them through the home. They're getting excited about it. So they've built up this hope of gain. And then as soon as that doorbell rings, you've introduced fear of loss. And it's the most powerful thing. And I've done it so many times. Like I already know exactly what's going to happen. Because 10 minutes later, before they leave, the realtor and the client, they're going to pull me aside. They're like, we need to talk. It's like, all right, what's going on, guys? Yeah. And they're like, how do we get this home? What do we need to do? And like, as a listing agent and as a seller, there's no more powerful position to be in than when you have 2 or 3 people in that, and then everybody submits their offer and you bet up and you wind up at a market price or above that market price because you've engineered a situation where multiple buyers have fallen in love with your home. And there's no better way to negotiate than with someone who's already in love with the house.
Absolutely.
And is competing with other people.
Absolutely. We've talked a little bit about the long form video.
Sure.
I want to make sure we touch on short,
of course,
because it's been so powerful right now. Tell me a little bit about what you do.
Sure. So we film the long form video. It's about 15 minutes long. And then after we do that, my guy will shoot B-roll. And then we just do short form video. We film it on an iPhone with a mic. And we go through and we pick 10 to 15 spots in the house. This is, and we just do a 7 to 59 second video, so it can all be short form. It's done vertical. And we'll go through and talk about, we'll retell some of those stories. So the best ones, like, hey guys, you won't believe this. If you wanted a place to put a 12-foot Christmas tree, this is the house for you. Yeah. It's just something that's got a good hook. It's engaging. We do the cool little captions on those videos, which is really easy to do. And then the call to action is, if you'd like to see the full video tour of this home, go to BrentwoodLuxuryHome.com. or 1014isaacfranklin.com, whatever the single property site we've set up for that. And so we try to do the 10 best of those, and we post them on 5 platforms. We do it on Facebook Reels, Instagram Reels, TikTok, LinkedIn, and YouTube Shorts. And then it's so easy because all of those platforms are trying to chase TikTok. So they're promoting these organically. We'll have some of these do, 5 to 10,000 organic views. And then the ones that hit, put a couple $100 behind it, and you would want to do 25,000 views just for like a 15-second intro video about a lake house. Right. That leads to a couple hundred people going to watch the long form video, which is a bargain in the big scheme of things. Yeah. So again, it's just something else. And it's interesting because most of my sellers are older, and the feedback I always get is like, I'm not on Instagram. It's like, but the buyers are.
Yeah, that's right.
The family of 4, they're spending 90 minutes on social media every day. Yeah. And we want them to see your house 15 times in the next 2 weeks. Yeah. And short form video is absolutely the way to do that. And what we found works best is it varies. Some 7-second videos do great. Some 59-second videos do great. So we kind of test everything. But the one thing I would do is put good captions on it, because a lot of people watch it without sound. Right. So if a funny hook, something kind of goofy is great because it captures their attention. Like, you won't believe this kitchen has 3 ovens, or something like that. It gets them engaged and it gets them to watch that full video and get excited about it. And we've just seen, and it's great because you sit down with a seller. It's like, hey guys, I know a lot of people do a marketing campaign for you. I'm going to do 50 marketing campaigns just for the short form videos, which all leads back to this long form video where we're going to get them to fall in love with your house before they even set foot in it. Right. Yeah. And sellers like, this is, because no one else is talking like this. And it's like, and this is my and so here's the guide. This is how exactly I do it. Yeah. And it's really, really effective, and it's really, really powerful. And there's not a marketing guy on planet Earth that you sit down with and talk about this to, and they're like, this is the deal. This is what everybody should be doing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Jason, this is such good stuff, man. I'm excited to see what the future holds too. I mean,
me too.
We're doing this now, less than a year.
Yeah, so it's funny. So like I had done a couple deals in Nashville because I had a couple other businesses I was doing and pursuing, and then came down here and met with you, and you told me some of the agents that you'd seen and kind of how they had structured their business. I was like, that's what I want. And I had a big closing in February of last year that I did the method for. It's like the first big one I'd really done. We sold it for 500 over appraised value. 25 showings, 10 off. It was bananas. Yeah. And I was like, all right, I'm going to take this entire commission and budget it to grow my business. I was like, this is great. This came because I was selling a personal network one. They bought it and said, man, you got us to pay more than we wanted to. Can you do that for my house so I don't feel bad about it? Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course. Let's talk about it. And so I took that entire commission and have set that up to basically a 12-month run rate to build my target farm area and just go after those sellers.
Yeah, such good stuff.
Yeah.
Listen, guys, I know you got some value out of this. Make sure you reach out, let Jason know how much you appreciate it. As we've talked about this is what is happening right now. This is now. This is what's available. This is arbitrage as far as the cost of the number of views that you're getting. Reach out to Jason, let him know you appreciate him, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks for watching the video. I specifically chose the video below for you because it builds on the one you just watched. I hope it's helpful, and I'll talk to you soon.